A very warm good evening to one and all the wonderful people present here. I am Mr. Rishikesh Kumar, Assistant Professor at PCAT SBPM. Would like to welcome you all to the session by C. Pramod Jansar on the topic Financial Analysis for Decision Making. On behalf of PCAT PBS, I would like to request C. Pramod Jansar to please take charge and begin the session. Over to you, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah.
Switch on your video, sir.
Is it fine now,
Yes,
Rishikesh? Can you hear me clearly? Can you
yes,
see me also clearly?
audible, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Rishikesh. It's great pleasure once again to be here for another topic, and this topic is financial analysis for decision making. Now, somebody has very rightly said, and he says that if you are in a business, it is better to make loss and know it than to make profit and not know it.
There it is.
And why is that so? It is because if you are in business and your business is making profit and you don't know that your business is making profit, you will not know as to where your profit is going and where it is sitting.
Yes, sir.
And therefore, there is a full possibility that you may be making profit, but your inventory may be increasing, your receivables may be increasing, and in that case, even though you are making profit, this profit is not going to be of any help to you.
Right, sir.
And instead of that, if you are making losses, and if you know that you are making losses, it is much better. And why it is much better? Because अगर आपको मालूम है कि आपके बिजनेस में आप लॉस कर रहे हैं, that means you know that you have a problem on your hand and you will find a solution for it. And it is in this context, friends, financial analysis for decision making becomes very, very critical. Unfortunately or incidentally, many startup, many young entrepreneurs, many young business who have a lot of good ideas, lot of good thoughts, have tremendous amount of energy, start their business, but they fail. And why they fail? Because of the lack of understanding of finance. Many of the young entrepreneurs, the startup, when they start the business, lot of ideas, lot of thoughts, lot of energy, but since the understanding of finance is not good, they start struggling. And why they start struggling? And that is because every time they have to depend on someone. And remember, if you have to depend for decision making on someone, then the life is going to be really very critical and very crucial and also very difficult. And that is why we thought, why not to have a session on financial analysis for decision making? Contrary to popular myth, a lot of people think that finance is very difficult to understand. Finance is very difficult to learn. And that is why many people develop this phobia about finance and they try to run away from it. Whereas the fact of life is कि अगर इस दुनिया में सबसे आसान कोई चीज है समझने के लिए तो वो है फाइनेंस. And why is that so? It is because पैसे की भाषा है, सबको समझती है, पढ़े को भी समझती है और अनपढ़ को भी समझती है, बल्कि मैं कहूंगा कि अनपढ़ को ज्यादा समझती है. और अगर आप देखें हिंदुस्तान का नहीं बल्कि दुनिया का इतिहास उठा के, the real wisdom in finance have like no formal education, no formal qualification in finance. Dhirubhai Ambani never went to Harvard, never went to Kellogg, never went to IIMs. He went to all these places, but not for giving degrees. For giving degrees, he was not a chartered accountant. He was not an MBA. He was not a CPA, but he was a wizard of finance. Same is the case with Bill Gates. We all know that Bill Gates is a college dropout. Even though he is a college dropout, can you name in today's time anyone who is more a wizard as far as finance is concerned? He understands finance much better than anybody else. And therefore, friends, at the outset, I would like to remove this fear from the minds of every one of you that finance is very difficult to understand. You must remember कि सबसे आसान अगर इस दुनिया में कोई चीज है समझने के लिए तो वो फाइनेंस है. पैसे की भाषा है, सबको समझती है और बराबर समझती है. अब हमको क्या करने की जरूरत है? How to be good at finance? How to use the knowledge and understanding of finance for the purpose of decision making is very simple. What we need to understand, just few things. And what are those few things? Those few things are, number one, we need to understand what is purpose of a business. What is the purpose of a business? And I'm sure many of the participants who are listening to me in this program and many of the participants who will be watching these videos subsequently will find it extremely useful to know as to what is purpose of a business. Then we need to understand how the business empires are built. So इस दुनिया में इतने बड़े बड़े business empires हैं. How are they built? What is the success mantra? What makes it possible for someone to build a business empire? Then we look at the profit and loss statement as to what is the profit and loss statement and कैसे profit and loss में जो number हैं उनका इस्तेमाल करेंगे decision लेने के लिए. We also look at the balance sheet, and finally what we'll do, we will use the balance sheet and P&L together and do financial analysis, and with the understanding of the P&L and the balance sheet, it's going to be my endeavor to share business. So what is purpose of a business? सबसे पहले सवाल जो है वो ये कि एक बिजनेस का पर्पस क्या है? Let me tell you friends, a lot of people think that the purpose of a business is to make profit. And I can tell you at the outset, and I can tell you upfront that the purpose of a business is not to make profit. And I'm sure when I say this, you will be shocked as to how is that the purpose of a business is not to make profit. And I say so because if the purpose of a business was to make profit, then you will not see a company called Microsoft. Why? Because Bill Gates, in the very first year of his operations, made profit. And he would have said that the purpose of a business is to make profit. I have made profit. The purpose is achieved. Let me close the business. If the purpose of a business was to make profit, you will not see in the very first year of your operations made profit. And they would have said the same thing, that the purpose of a business is to make profit. We have earned profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. If the purpose of a business was to make profit, remember, you will not see a company called Apple. Why? Because Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, both of them, in their very first few years of their operations made profit, and they would have said the same thing, that the purpose of a business is to make profit. We have made profit. Let us purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. And if the purpose of a business was to make profit, then you will not hear a group called Tatas. And why is that so? Because Jamsetji Tata, after setting up the steel plant, in very first few years, started making earning profit. And he would have said the same thing, that the purpose of a business is to make profit. We have made profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. And therefore, friends, please remember, purpose of a business is not to make profit. And why do I say so? I say so because making profit in business is not a matter of choice. Making profit in a business is compulsory, is mandatory. So if you are in business, you better make profit. And therefore, please remember, the purpose of a business is not to make profit. And making profit is compulsory. Making profit is mandatory. Making profit is non-negotiable. Making profit is not a matter of choice. And that is what nowadays and bankruptcy code. So what does it say? It says that if you are in business and you're not able to make profit, you're not able to pay to your creditors, then the least that you can do is to hand over that business to somebody and let that somebody run that business and make profit out of it. And therefore, friends, please remember and remember it forever, that the purpose of a business is not to make profit, because making profit is non-negotiable, making profit is imperative, making profit is compulsory, making profit is mandatory. Then what is the profit? Then what is the purpose? And the purpose, friends, of any business anywhere in the world is to create value. Purpose of any business is to create value. And what is the meaning of creating value? The meaning of creating value is, through your business, run your business in a way that this world becomes a better place to live. And that is creating value. So your business should make things easy for everyone. Your business, your product, your services should bring happy smiles on the faces of others, and that is creating value. And therefore, friends, please remember, the purpose of a business is to create value. And this purpose of a business to create value, remember, is not for one business or two business, it is for everyone across the globe. Doesn't really matter as to which is the geography that you are operating your business in. If you are in business, you better create value. Now the question is, how do you create value? Because we also need to understand. We also need to understand as to how the big business empires that we see today on this earth, how are those built? And I'm sure many of the young entrepreneurs, many of the young startup owners who are watching this program, they can really pick up a fantastic lesson for themselves to ensure that today their small sapling becomes a big banyan tree in the days to come. So we also need to understand as to how the big empires are built. So let's come to the first point first. So what is the purpose of business? Purpose of a business is to create value. How do you create value? You create value by converting resources into result. I'm sure, friends, all of you will know this gentleman, and he is Jamsetji Tata. No, who will not know him? Everybody knows him very well. Jamsetji Tata, about more than 100 years ago from today, mobilized all his resources, all his capital, and with his resources, with his capital, what he did, he set up at that time a world-class steel plant somewhere in Bihar, which is now the place which is the city which is now known as Jamshedpur. So what Jamsetji was doing, Jamsetji set up a steel plant by mobilizing all his capital, all his resources. What was he doing? He was converting his resources into result. What was the resource? The resource was the money that he had. What was the result? The result was the steel, the world-class steel plant. Now what do you do? Having set up a world-class steel plant, what do? Do you go to market, buy a big lock and put it on the factory gate and go home? Of course not. Of course not. So then what you do? Having set up, sell it in the market. And when you sell it in the market, you get money. So when you are getting money, what you are doing? You are converting result into resources. You are converting result into resources. So what is the purpose of a business? Purpose of a business is to create value. And how do you create value? You create value by converting resources into result and result into resources. क्या मतलब है इसका? इसका मतलब यह है कि जमशेदजी टाटा ने क्या किया? जमशेदजी टाटा ने जब प्लांट सेटअप किया तो प्लांट सेटअप करके उसको रन किया, रन करके उससे प्रॉफिट कमाया और उस प्रॉफिट्स को और बिजनेसेस में लगाया. And that is how he kept on doing. He kept on converting resources into result, result into resources. As a result of that, today you see a transnational global business empire called Tata, whose turnover today is more than 10 lakh crore. And incidentally, 60%, more than 60% of this turnover of Tata Empire is not coming from India, it is coming from outside India. So how the Tata Empire has become Tata Empire? And why the Tata Empire only? All the big empires of this world, whether it is Birlas or Tatas or Mittals or Ambanis or Munjals or Bajaj or Mahindras, all the big business empires that we see today, how they have become so big? They have become so big by following this simple mantra of converting resources into result and result into resources. And I'm sure, friends, you can very easily visualize it. You can very easily appreciate it. You can very easily understand it as to how the Tatas have become such a big empire, how the Birlas have become such a big empire. If Ghanshyam Das Birla ji, जब उन्होंने पहला फैक्ट्री उनका जब डाला और वो फैक्ट्री डालने के बाद अगर बिरला जी डिसाइड करते कि भाई मैंने एक फैक्ट्री डाल दी, अब बात खत्म हो गई, अब मुझे और कोई फैक्ट्री नहीं डालनी, would we see the Birla empire that we see today? The answer, of course, is no. So how do we see the Birla empire? How do we see the Tata empire? Because all these people, what they have been doing, they have been converting resources into result and result into resources. And friends, those of you who are entrepreneurs, those of you who have startups, those of you who are businessmen, I would like that let this mantra become part of your DNA. Because when it becomes part of your DNA, then what happens? Then you are on the path of building another empire. So having understood as to how do you create value, having understood what is the purpose, let us now go to the next step. And what's the next step? Please remember, you cannot create value without making profit, isn't it? Isn't it? So you cannot make profit without creating value. And please pay attention. You can also not make profit without creating value. अगर आप आपके बिजनेस में सोचते हैं कि without making profit you will create value, it will not happen. अगर आप आपके बिजनेस में सोचते हैं कि without creating value you will make profit, that also will not happen. And therefore, now let us understand the profit. What is profit? I'm sure if I ask you this question as to what is profit, all of you will give me the answer. And the answer is going to be profit is income minus expenses is profit. And that, of course, is 100% correct. That is 100% correct because 100% correct. But remember, that is the accounting definition. That is the accounting definition of profit. Income minus expenses is profit is the accounting definition. But you as the businessman, you as an entrepreneur, you as a startup owner, you as the CEO of a company, you need to understand profit from a different perspective altogether. And why do you have to understand the term profit from a different perspective altogether? Because you are not responsible for writing the books, for writing the accounts. You are responsible for your business to create value. You are responsible for your business to make profit. Or if I can put it, you are responsible to create value by making profit, or you are responsible to make profit by creating value. So we need to understand profit from that perspective. And if we have to understand profit from the perspective of decision making, how the profit can be understood? The profit can be understood in many ways. Profit can be understood in many ways, and that is what you and I need to do. And why you and I need to do? Because you and I have to take decision, and you and I have to take decision and make use of this information for the purpose of make the understanding of profitability or profit for the purpose of decision making. So first of all, what do you have? You can see on the screen, you have something which is known as sales. Now the sales, friends, is also known as top line. And why it is known as top line? Very simple. It is known as top line because this is the line which is appearing in the top of this statement that you have in front of you. And that is why it is known as top line. So when somebody is saying as to how is the top line of your business, what he is really asking, he's asking as to how is the sales of your business. Now what you do, friends, from the figure of sales, you minus two costs. And which are the costs that you minus? You minus the material cost and you minus the manufacturing expenses. So you minus from the figure of sales. First, you minus the material cost and the manufacturing expenses. And what is the manufacturing expenses? Manufacturing expenses are the expenses that you incur in converting raw material into finished product, finished goods. So that is why the total of material cost and the manufacturing expenses put together is also referred as cost of goods sold, COGS. So when you minus from the figure of sales, the material cost, manufacturing expenses, what you get in your hand is known as gross profit. It is known as gross profit. And what is this gross profit indicator of? This gross profit is indicator of attractiveness of the industry in which this company is. Meaning what? Meaning if a company's gross profit ratio is very high, and I can tell you how do you calculate the gross profit ratio? Very simple. Gross profit divided by sales into 100 is gross profit. So if a company's gross profit ratio is very high, it means this company is in the industry which is extremely attractive. And why is that so? Because when will the gross profit be high? Gross profit will be high only in two situations. Number one, the company is able to command a very high selling price. And number two, the material cost of the company is relatively low. So that is your gross profit, and gross profit will tell you as to how attractive is the company, how attractive is the industry in which this company is operating. Now, from the gross profit, what do? From the gross profit, you deduct a cost, and that cost is known as SG&A, selling, general, and administrative expenses. So gross profit, from the gross profit you minus SG&A, what you get in your hand is known as EBITDA. I'm sure, friends, all of you must have heard of this term called EBITDA so often. And why do you hear this term EBITDA so often? Because this number for any business is extremely important, extremely important, because the life and the sustainability, the long-term sustainability of any business is dependent on this number called EBITDA. Even the borrowing power of a business is also dependent on EBITDA. So what is EBITDA? EBITDA is cash operating profit. What EBITDA tells you? As you can see on the screen, EBITDA tells you that from your operations, so much cash is coming in your hand. And that is why EBITDA is known as cash operating profit. And that is why all the corporate decisions which take place of mergers, takeovers, acquisition, EBITDA is the most important number considered by any buyer of a company. And I'm sure you can understand why this number is so important, because जिस कंपनी का EBITDA जितनी strong होगी, वो कंपनी उतनी strong होगी, because company is generating so much of cash. And remember, all said and done, what gives life to a business? Cash gives life to a business. Cash gives life to a business. But which cash? Remember, the cash can come from two sources, or rather the cash can come from three sources. Cash can come from equity, cash can come from debt, and cash can come from your operations. Cash coming from equity, of course, will not have a cost attached to it per se. But if you are not making profit, you will never get equity. The cash coming by way of debt will not give a life to your business. Why? Because cash coming from debt has to be serviced. You have to pay interest on it. And therefore, cash coming from debt will also not give you life, give life to your business. What will give life to your business is the cash coming from your operations. And that is the EBITDA. EBITDA means what you do, you minus the depreciation and you minus the amortization. And what you get in your hand, that is known as EBIT, earning before interest, tax, that is interest and tax, EBIT. EBIT is also known as operating profit, because that tells you so much of cash is available in your hand. EBIT tells you operating profit, you must, and what you are left now is known as EBT, earning before tax. And obviously, what you will do from the EBT you will minus the taxes. And then what will remain in your hand is known as EAT, earning after tax. And remember why EAT is, why it is known as EAT. It is known as EAT, which is earning after tax, of course. But I would say EAT is known as EAT. It means only when this figure is positive of your business, you can eat and not otherwise. And that is the significance of EAT. Now, EAT is also known as bottom line. And remember, friends, again, no rocket science. Why it is known as bottom line? It is known as bottom line because you can see on the screen of your computer that this figure is appearing in the bottom of your statement. And that is why it is known as bottom line. So when somebody asks you a question as to how is the bottom line of your company, what is he really asking you? He's asking you is how much are your net profit? Net, you call them net profit, you call them net income, you call them profit after tax, you call them earning after tax, you call them bottom line. They all mean the same thing. Now, what we need to understand, as the CEO, as the COO, as the promoter of the company, as the investor of the company, as the owner of the company, where should be your focus in the P&L? Your focus, remember, must be on how to maximize my gross profit, how to maximize my EBITDA, how to maximize my EBIT, how to maximize my EBT, and how to maximize my EAT. So really speaking, these then become your business drivers, and that is what you must make note of it. अब ये चीज आप जरूर नोट करके लीजिए कि ये जो आप देख रहे हैं स्क्रीन के ऊपर EBITDA, gross profit, EBITDA, EBIT, EBT, EAT. Now these are not numbers. These are your business drivers. That means what? That means any exercise of strategy formulation, any exercise of budgeting, any exercise of future planning that you do in your business cannot be possible without putting focus on gross profit, on EBITDA, on EBIT, on EBT, and on EAT. And remember, when you do all this, automatically your earning per share will increase. And when your earning per share will increase, remember, automatically market price of the share of your company on the stock exchange will also go up. And it does not stop here. Once the market price of the company's share goes up, automatically your wealth goes up. And that is the linkage, friends, that you have between the wealth of the shareholders and understanding of profit and loss statement. I'm sure this must be quite clear to you. And in case if you have any question, you can of course type it in the chat box, and I would be very happy to take them towards the end of the session. Let's go to the next statement now. What is the next statement? The next statement is balance sheet. Now, what does the balance sheet tells you? See, balance sheet will tell you as to how strong the company is financially. How is the financial risk of a company? How the balance sheet will tell you how is the working capital management of a company. Balance sheet will also tell you how is the borrowing power of a company. So let us quickly understand, friends, as to what is the balance sheet and how does it look like. So you can see it on your screen. There are two sides to a balance sheet. On the left hand side of your, on the left hand side, you have equity and liability. On the right hand side, you have assets. Equities and liabilities are also known as sources of fund. Why? Because where will a business get money from? Where a business will get capital from? A business will get capital from, a business will get money from equity and debt. And that is how the left hand side is known as sources, also sources of capital. So the first is the equity and liability. You can see the first component. The first component is equity. What is the equity? Equity would mean shareholders' money into the business. Equity will mean shareholders' money into the business. So one is share capital. And what is share capital? Share capital is money directly contributed by the shareholders into the company. That is coming by way of share capital. Then you see another item called reserves and surplus. Now, what is reserves and surplus? And remember, friends, many times people tend to think that reserves and surplus would mean that whatever amount is reflecting in the balance sheet of a company on account of reserves and surplus, people tend to think that so much of cash is lying with the company somewhere and this company can use it at any point in time. No, that's not correct. What is reserves and surplus? So reserves and surplus is a company which is making profit. A company which is making profit, what will this company do with this profit? A company can do two things with the profit. Number one, it can give part of the profit to the shareholders as dividend, and it will retain part of the profit into the business and plow it back. And what is the meaning of plow it back? Meaning of plowing it back is कि समझो for example एक कंपनी ने 100 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट किया और कंपनी के शेयर होल्डर्स ने डिसाइड किया out of this 100 crore of the profit, let the shareholders be given a dividend of 30 crore and let the 70 crore of the profit be plowed back into the business. So what the company would do with this? what this company would do with this 70 crore. With this 70 crore, company will use it for augmenting the working capital, for expansion program, for diversification program, for acquisition of company, for doing other capital expenditure, for floating new companies, for making investment into other companies and things like that. So please remember,
Sir,
when you
sir, one question came from Dr. Anis Karia, sir. Sir, can you explain what is the actual meaning of amortization?
okay, good, yes. So your case, good that. So you see, there are two things that you see here. One is depreciation and one is amortization. So remember, in a business, in any business, we will use two kinds of assets: tangible assets and intangible assets. So what is a tangible asset? Tangible asset is something that we can see, we can touch, and we can feel. So building, property, plant and equipment, computer, furniture, aircraft, train, ship. Now these are all examples of tangible assets. And then you also have intangible assets. What are the intangible assets? Intangible assets are those assets that you cannot touch, you cannot feel, and you cannot see. So your software, copyright, brand name, logo, reputation, all that is your intent, patent, design, technology, licenses, permissions. Now, all these are the examples of intangible assets. And remember, doesn't really matter whether an asset is tangible or intangible. With the passage of time, value of both the assets will go down. Because of the wear and tear, the value of the assets will always keep on reducing year after year. So reduction in the value of a tangible asset is referred as depreciation, and reduction in the value of an intangible asset is referred as amortization. I hope I have answered the question of Rishikesh. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
let's,
sir.
good. So let's come back. So we were discussing about the reserves and surplus. So please remember, reserves and surplus का मतलब ये नहीं है कि इस कंपनी के पास में इतना पैसा कहीं कैश पड़ा हुआ है. रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस का इतना सा मतलब है कि ओवर द इयर्स this company has been making profit. Part of the profit the company has been giving as dividend to the shareholders, and part of the profit company has been plowing it back. So the amount that you see under the head reserves and surplus, it will tell you that so much of profit over the years have been plowed back by the company in the business, and it has used it for the expansion, diversification, so on and so forth. Then what we need to understand as far as the balance sheet is concerned, that you have something which is known as non-current liabilities, and you have something which is known as current liabilities. Now, how do you differentiate between the current liability and the non-current liability? An answer, of course, is very simple. So what is a current liability? Any liability of the business, any obligation of the business, which the business has to repay, discharge within a period of 12 months, is known as current liability. And what is a non-current liability? Definition is very simple. Any liability which is not a current liability, it is a non-current liability. And what does it mean? It means a current liability has to be discharged within a period of 12 months, and a non-current liabilities are those liabilities which are to be discharged after a period of 12 months. And this is how you will differentiate between the current liabilities and the non-current liabilities. So non-current liabilities will be used for funding your long-term requirements. Current liabilities will be used for financing the short-term requirements of a business. And this is what also you can understand. Let's now come to the other side of the balance sheet, and that is the asset side. Again, friends, you can see there are two categories: non-current assets and the current assets. So what is the current asset? Current asset is an asset which is expected to get converted into cash within a period of 12 months. That is a current asset. Current, that means it keeps on flowing. It keeps on flowing. So when you purchase raw material, why do you purchase raw material? You don't purchase raw material because you want to hold it or you want to keep it in your business. You purchase your raw material because what is your intention? Your intention is to take that raw material to the shop floor, convert that raw material into the finished goods, sell it in the market and get cash from the customer. And this is how your raw material will keep on getting converted. So current assets are those assets which are expected to get converted into cash within a period of 1 year. Current assets are also known as working capital. Some of the current assets, remember, may not be part of the working capital. It's not that the all current assets are part of the working capital. And this is what you must remember. Only those current assets which are used in the operations of the company are part of the working capital. So inventory is part of the working capital. Receivables are part of the working capital. Cash and bank balance are part of the working capital. Loans and advances that you need to give for your day-to-day working is part of your working capital. But investment that you may make in securities with a short-term objective, remember, the investment that you're making in securities with a short-term objective, it is a short-term, it's a current asset, but it is not your part of working capital. Why it is not part of your working capital? Because वो जो investment आप कर रहे हो, वो जो share आप खरीद रहे हो, या कोई mutual fund आप खरीद रहे हो, तो what is your objective? Your objective is to use your surplus money for earning some extra profit, extra gain. But that investment is not helping in the manufacturing of your operations. So that is why it will not be part of your working capital. And then you have non-current assets. How do you define the non-current assets? Very simple. An asset which is not a current asset is a non-current asset. As simple as that. An asset which is not a current asset is a non-current asset. That is the definition of non-current assets. But you must understand another very important thing, and that is current assets get converted into cash within a period of 12 months. Non-current assets are used for converting the current assets into cash. So raw material को आप कैसे cash में convert करेंगे? By using your building, your plant and machinery, and processing the raw material. So the non-current assets are used for converting the current assets into cash. So this, friends, is about the balance sheet. Of course, if you have any question, you can just write down in your chat box, and I will take all the questions towards the end of this session. So having understood first thing, that is what is purpose of a business, that is to create value. And how do you create value? You create value by converting resources into result. And also remember, the purpose of a business is to create value by making profit or make profit by creating value. Either way, it is same thing. Number two, we understood as to how the business empires are built. And the business empires are built following this simple mantra of converting resources into result and the result into resources. Keep repeating this cycle and then you create an empire. Then we understood the P&L and we also understood the profit and the balance sheet. In P&L, we have understood different terms. अब हम आगे बढ़ेंगे और हम ये समझेंगे कि how to make use of this understanding of P&L and the balance sheet for the purpose of doing financial analysis. And why financial analysis? So that we are able to make decisions. Because ultimately, as an entrepreneur, as a startup, as a businessman, as the CEO or COO, as the senior management of your business, you are supposed to help the company create value by making more profit. And that means you are expected to take a lot of decisions. And how do you take those decisions? You can take those decisions only with the help of the numbers. So how to make use of the फाइनेंशियल एनालिसिस फॉर डिसीजन मेकिंग, कैसे करेंगे? अब देखिए, मैं 4 चीजें आपसे डिस्कस करूंगा कि ये जो बैलेंस शीट की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, जो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस की जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, उससे कैसे मालूम करें कि भाई कंपनी की परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है, कंपनी की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी कैसी है. देयर आर मेनी रेशियोज, and at this point in time our idea is to understand as to how the financial analysis is done. And once you understand, once you have this understanding, then you can use so many ratios. So the first, profitability अगर आपको मालूम करनी है, अगर आपको आपके बिजनेस की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी मालूम करनी है, तो कैसे मालूम करेंगे? उसके लिए you have to use a ratio that is known as profitability analysis, that is known as gross profit ratio. How to find out the gross profit ratio? Very simple. Take the figure of gross profit and divide this figure of gross profit by the amount of sales. Multiply it with 100 and you will get your gross profit ratio. So let's say this figure is coming 20%. That means your businesses gross profit is 20%. अब सवाल ये है कि कैसे मालूम करें कि भाई ये 20% जो मेरा ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट आ रहा है, is it a good sign or is it a bad sign? How do I benchmark it? So what you can do, you can compare the gross profit of the current year with the gross profit of the last year. So if the gross profit of the last year was 18% and the gross profit of this year is 20%, it means that your performance has improved in the current year in comparison to the last year. How can you use it further? You can compare your gross profit ratio with your budgeted ratio. So in your business, you must have made a budget for the year. So if your ratio, your gross profit ratio is coming 20%, and if you look at the budget and you see that the budgeted figure was 21%, that means in comparison to your budget, your actual performance is lagging behind. That means you need to do something. That means you need to tighten the belts of certain people, ask them as to why the gross profit has reduced to 20%, when as per the budget, it was to be 21%. So this is second way in which you can make use of this gross profit. Or third thing, what you can do, you can compare your gross profit ratio with your competitors, assuming that your competitor is a listed company, you're also a listed company. This information is available in the public domain. And even if a company is not listed, today it's not very difficult to get the information of your competitor, even if those competitors are private limited company. So another way of doing it is compare your gross profit ratio with the gross profit ratio of your competitor, and you can find out as to whose gross profit ratio is higher. So if your gross profit ratio is 20%, your competitor's gross profit ratio is 23%, means you have a reason to do some research, some study to find out as to how is that your competitor is getting a gross profit ratio of 23%, whereas you are getting it only 20%. That means you are lagging somewhere. Something has to be done. And remember, this is how you make use of the numbers for the purpose of decision making. So the moment you realize that your performance in comparison to your competitor is behind, that means you have to do something to ensure that if not more, at least your gross profit is as much as your competitors is. Otherwise, you will be missing on the cutting edge vis-a-vis your competitor. The second ratio, you can use it, it is known as current ratio. Current ratio is an indicator of liquidity of your business. तो करंट रेशियो से आपको क्या मालूम पड़ता है? करंट रेशियो से आपको मालूम पड़ता है कि आपके बिजनेस की लिक्विडिटी कैसी है. क्या मतलब है इसका? इसका मतलब ये है, करंट रेशियो से मालूम पड़ता है व्हाट इज योर एबिलिटी टू टेक केयर ऑफ योर शॉर्ट टर्म ऑब्लिगेशंस, एंड दैट इज your current ratio. And how do you calculate the current ratio? You have seen the balance sheet just now. So you divide your current assets by your current liabilities, and the resultant number is known as current ratio. Now, friends, we have this session only for 1 hour, but current ratio, remember, is a very important part of working capital management. Current ratio is a very important part of working capital management, and the current ratio is as important as the cash flow of a business. If a business's current ratio is not in order, by default, you can take it for granted that the cash flow of that business is also not in order. It is so much connected. So मैं आपको आज खाली यहीं पर छोड़ूंगा कि करंट रेशियो से क्या मालूम पड़ता है. करंट रेशियो से आपके बिजनेस की लिक्विडिटी मालूम पड़ती है. पर मैं आपको एक थॉट जरूर देके छोड़ूंगा कि गलती से भी मत समझना कि हायर द करंट रेशियो बेटर इट इज. ऑन द कॉन्ट्रेरी, if you are making profit, then your current ratio must be as low as possible. If you are making profit, then your current ratio must be as low as possible. I'm just leaving this thought with all of you. Just think about it, and maybe in case if you have further questions, you can of course write down in the chat box. We will take them before we close today's session. But remember, remember it very strongly. अगर आप एक बिजनेसमैन हैं, ओनर हैं, प्रमोटर हैं, सीईओ हैं, सीओ हैं, सीओओ हैं, इन्वेस्टर हैं, शेयर होल्डर हैं, तो आप याद रखिए कि करंट रेशियो किसी भी बिजनेस का जितना कम हो उतना अच्छा है. करंट रेशियो शुड नेवर बी हाई. High current ratio is sign of operational inefficiencies, assuming that you are following simple prudence practices of management. Low current ratio is a sign of operational efficiencies. Third ratio, friends, that you can understand here is the efficiency analysis, and that is through the assets turnover ratio. How do you calculate the assets turnover ratio? So you divide your sales by the total assets. And I'm just giving you this as an example. So you can always divide your sales by the fixed assets, only with the current assets, total of the current assets and the fixed assets, only by the inventory, only by the receivable. So you can use all the permutations and combinations to find out, because ये जो ratio है, efficiency ratio, ये जो रेशियो है, इससे आपको क्या मालूम पड़ता है? इससे आपको मालूम पड़ता है कि हाउ एफिशिएंटली यू आर यूजिंग योर रिसोर्सेज इन द बिजनेस. हायर द टर्नओवर रेशियो, बेटर इट इज. सो जितना टर्नओवर रेशियो ज्यादा है उतना अच्छा है. कैसे मालूम करेंगे कि मेरा ये साल का टर्नओवर रेशियो जो है वो अच्छा है कि नहीं है? As I said earlier, compare your current year's turnover ratio with the last year's turnover ratio, and you can find out if your current year's turnover ratio is higher than the last year's turnover ratio. That means this year your business has been more efficient. If your current ratio this year is lower than the last year, that means your business this year has been less efficient or lesser efficient in comparison to the last year. That means trigger for decision. That means something has to be checked and found out as to why this year the efficiency ratio has gone down. You can compare your turnover ratio with your competitor. You can compare your turnover ratio with your budgeted figure. And this is how you will make use of the turnover ratio. So this turnover ratio is also known as efficiency ratio. It is also known as activity ratio. And finally, friends, the fourth ratio that I would like to discuss with you for doing the financial analysis of your business, and that is financial risk analysis. And how do you do it? you do it by calculating a ratio which is called as debt equity ratio. So debt का मतलब क्या है? Debt का मतलब है वो लॉन्ग टर्म लोन्स जो आपके बिजनेस ने लिए हुए हैं. Equity का क्या मतलब है? Equity का मतलब है your capital, owner's capital. Owner's capital will comprise, I am sure you will remember, of two components: share capital and reserves and surplus. So when you divide the total debt, total long-term debt, when you divide the long-term debt of the business by the amount of equity, it will give you debt equity ratio. ये debt equity ratio आपको क्या बताता है? ये debt equity ratio आपको कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल रिस्क के बारे में बताता है. Meaning what? Meaning जितना ये रेशियो ज्यादा होगा, इसका मतलब उस बिजनेस की फाइनेंशियल रिस्क उतनी ज्यादा है, और जितना ये रेशियो कम होगा, उसका मतलब उस बिजनेस की फाइनेंशियल रिस्क उतनी कम है. Why? Because if you have more debt in your business, remember, debt has to be serviced. Debt has to be serviced. What does it mean? Means on debt you have to pay interest. So if your debt component is very high, and for some reason, if your business is not doing well, then what is going to happen? Your EBITDA will be shrinking. तो आपका जो कैश प्रॉफिट जो बिजनेस से आपको जनरेट हो रहा है वो कम है, आपका डेट ज्यादा है, इंटरेस्ट बर्डन ज्यादा है. और रिमेंबर, जैसा कि मैंने पहले कहा, टुडे यू हैव अ लॉ इन दिस कंट्री, इंसॉल्वेंसी एंड बैंक्रप्सी कोड. एज अ बिजनेस, इफ यू फेल to pay to your operational creditor in time, as a business, if you fail to pay to your financial creditor in time, both of them can file an application against you in the NCLT for the insolvency resolution process under section 7 and 9 respectively. So therefore, that equity ratio becomes crucial. So when you are looking at your balance sheet, and you must look at your balance sheet quite regularly and check as to what is the debt equity ratio. Now, इसका नॉर्म क्या होना चाहिए? इसका नॉर्म अगर आप मुझसे पूछें तो ऐसा कोई नॉर्म आपके लिए नहीं है, लेकिन अगर आप एक लेंडर के पास में जाएंगे पैसा मांगने के लिए तो वो एक नॉर्म फॉलो करता है. एंड व्हाट दैट नॉर्म इज, no lender will give you money if your debt equity ratio is more than 2:1. So the lender will follow the norm of 2:1. But as far as you are concerned, you do not have to look at the ratio of 2:1. What you should look at your EBITDA. आपको क्या करना है? आपको आपके EBITDA के फिगर को देखना है, ऑपरेटिंग कैश फ्लो के फिगर को देखना है. अगर आपकी EBITDA का फिगर स्ट्रांग है, मजबूत है, ज्यादा है, बड़ा है, तो आपकी बोरोइंग पावर उतनी बढ़ जाती है. क्यों बढ़ जाती है? क्योंकि आपकी EBITDA अच्छी है. That means you are having enough cash to service the debt, right? So remember the debt equity ratio. How do you calculate? You calculate the debt equity ratio by dividing the debt, that is long-term debt, divided by equity, and that tells you your debt equity ratio. It is an indicator of financial leverage or financial risk. So finally friends, ये ratios को हम कैसे use करेंगे? जैसा कि मैंने पहले बताया कि number one, you can compare these ratios with your last year's figure and find out as to how you have done. Number two, you can compare it with your budget. Number three, you can compare with your competitor. And number four, you can also compare these numbers with the industry norms. You know, a lot of business associations like CM, and there are many of them, CII, many business associations. They compile the numbers of their companies together and they come out with some benchmarks figures. So you can also compare your number with those numbers to find out as to how is your business doing vis-a-vis the business of other people. So friends, with this, we come to the close of this session. What we have covered, number one, we have understood as to what is the purpose of a business, and that is to create value by making profit. We have understood how the business empires have been built over the globe, and that is by converting resources into result and result into resources. Then we have understood what is P&L and what are the different types of profits. And then we have understood balance sheet, what are the different components of balance sheet. And finally, we have also understood how to use financial analysis for the purpose of decision making. So friends, with this, I come to the close of my session for today. Thank you so much. In case if there are any questions, Rishikesh, I would be very happy to take them. Thank you so much. Thank you and wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, sir. Already you explained each and everything in a very easy manner. As a marketing faculty, I was trying to understand what is profit and loss, asset and liabilities. So at least, I came to know what is all together. So thank you so much. And sir, you discussed on converting resources into result and result into resources. You gave an example of Jamsetji Tata ji. You discussed on profit and loss statement analysis for decision making. You talk on earning after tax EAT, that is a bottom line. You discuss on balance sheet analysis for decision making. How to use financial analysis for decision making. You discuss on 4 analysis, sir. Profitability analysis, liquidity analysis, efficiency analysis, and financial analysis, sir. So for now, sir, it's time to vote of thanks. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for CA Pramod Jain sir for his in-depth information on the topic financial analysis for decision making. Our heartfelt thanks to our participants for active participation. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of today's webinar. Thank you all participants for your active participation. Tomorrow we are meeting on the same time, 5 to 6. Topic would be how to prepare resolution plan. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just a small point for the benefit of everyone. Tomorrow's topic that we have is how to prepare a resolution plan. Now, this topic is of special benefit for the people who are practicing as insolvency professionals, or who are there as registered valuers, or who are there in financial consultancy. So because under the insolvency and bankruptcy code, a company which has gone for the insolvency resolution, now this company will have to invite offers, and which are known as resolution plans. And preparation of those resolution plans is a science, it's an art and science, because उसके basis पर depend करेगा कि वो company का resolution किस तरह से होता है. So all the participants, those of you who are practicing as insolvency professional or registered valuer or as financial consultants and advisors, you're welcome to join it in any case tomorrow. You may also like to share it with all your acquaintances and friends to also join tomorrow, because I'm sure they would find it extremely useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you all participants. Thank you.